Good morning. Oh, what? Good morning. It says that encountered an error sharing on Twitter. That's weird. Are you guys there? Hi, Nina. That was so weird. I got a big error message. I'm diffusing evergreen essence today. Evergreen essence. Because I'm grumpy. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. So, body support today. That's what we're doing around here. Support for the physical body because I've been in a funk for a few days and I'm just rolling with it. Withdrawing from the world a little bit. Hi, Aaron. Hi, Cynthia. I missed several people. Hi, everybody who's here. My name is Michelle Wolf, and you can find me at CaddyshackDesigns.com. You can see everything I do. Oils, Reiki, Desire Map workshops. I remembered. Yes, I put it right here in front of me. Thank you. Thank you. So, on the way to Atlanta yesterday and back, I listened to a book, just a fiction book. Audible books are a lifesaver. And just allowed my funk mood to be as it was. And yesterday was hard. I'm physically hard. I didn't get home till right after 10 o'clock. I left here at 5:45 in the morning. So it was physically difficult. And then if you want to know what's going on in the collective unconscious, oh, that's weird. Look at the memes on Facebook. Cruise Facebook, your feed, other people's feeds, and see what the common thread is in all the memes that are popping up, and you get an idea of what everybody's going through. Because we all go through things together, right? If I'm in a funk that lasts more than a few hours, chances are other people in my group are doing the same. So it's important to not fight that. To be a clinical problem, you have to be depressed for 2 full weeks. 14 days. This is where it's helpful to keep a journal. And it helps you see, is my funk just a funk? Or is it like a clinical problem I need to go see somebody about? If it alleviates at all within 14 days, it's not a clinical problem that you need to go see a psychiatrist about. Now, you can if you want to. I'm not saying don't. Please, God, don't hear that. I'm not saying don't go see a professional if you feel like you need one. But to meet the standards for clinical depression, it has to be 14 days. Typically, it's a few days. 3, 4 days, 5 days maybe. You're not clinically depressed. You're not. Let's consider this. So when you get in a funk that is lasting a few days, get yourself a prayer bead mala, do some affirmations, or whatever. If you use oils, use the spruce tree oils, the stress away, lavender, frankincense, things like that. If you have access to get some evergreen essence, this is not, I think this one actually may be sold out. But the Northern Lights black spruce, Idaho spruce, the spruces are uplifting, the same as if you went and walked in the woods. And I'll carry bottles of that with me for a few days just to have the extra boost. Treat your body with a little extra support when you're in a funk state. If you fight it, if you try to push through it and say, I am determining that I am not going to feel this funk, then you will create resistance and it will last longer. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with being in a crappy mood for a few days. It's better to just roll with it. This is all my opinion, okay? Take it for what it's worth and try it for yourself. The more you judge against it, the worse it gets, typically. So Jeff Foster, who Roseanne recommended, is a great person to read in a funk state because he says over and over again that your emotions want to be held, not healed. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you if you hit a time period where you have 3 to 5 or so days of feeling like crap. Now, Michelle posted in the Perry Fam group about the Dark Night of the Soul. That's different too. So I'm talking about, yeah, I'm so glad you recommended him, Roseanne. Jeff Foster is on Facebook. Find him, read him. A Dark Night of the Soul, in my mind, is like a crisis of faith, where it's the carpet has been snatched out from under you thing. Everything's going wrong. Your job, your marriage, your partnerships, your whatever, every damn thing is going wrong. And you can, that's awesome. You can lose your way. A Dark Night of the Soul is like transformative. Also something that can be honored and rolled with and explored. And Dark Nights of the Soul is when some of my best work has come out. Some of my best poetry, some of my best writing, some of my best internal creations have come from that Dark Night of the Soul, or crisis of faith, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, Jeff Foster is English accented and spiritual. Double score. So support the body when you're going through this stuff. Yeah, it's hard to know the difference. I'll tell you how it feels. 14 days is the diagnosis point for clinical depression. If you're in a mood that's impacting your getting through the day for a full 14 days, that starts to meet the definition of clinical depression, and that's where it can be helpful to possibly take an antidepressant for a short period of time. I'm not a fan of medications for just typical situational depression. Look at your life. If you have legitimate reasons to be depressed, it's okay to be depressed. And if you need if oils aren't working, journaling's not working, you've spent time with it, it's been longer than 14 days, then a little antidepressant help is not a bad thing for short term. Hi, Sarah. So, if you keep a journal, it's pretty rare that you go a full 14 days in darkness. Good morning. It's really important to keep an emotional journal. So a couple times a day, just jot down on a scale of 1 to 10, how depressed am I today? And look at that over 2 weeks. And if it really is a full 2 weeks that every day you are really, really, really struggling, crying, or numb, 13 days feels pretty bad. And if you need to see someone and get an antidepressant for a short period of time, I don't have a problem with that. The scary part for me is when people go to their general practitioner and say, I don't feel good, and they get handed Prozac, and they don't understand that maybe it's a spiritual not feeling good. Maybe it's learning to not label your feelings bad or good. Maybe it's perfectly appropriate that you be sad for a while because of circumstances and events in your life going on right now. For me, a crisis of faith is, and I've experienced that more than once, and you probably have too, or will. A crisis of faith is when I start to believe that God doesn't exist, that none of this is helpful, that all of this stuff that we do every day is complete and utter bullshit, and it's never going to change. And then that's the point where I feel like just giving up, your hormones could be off. Yeah, body support is, I want to keep coming back to that, supporting your physical body. But journaling it out, journals are really, really helpful. If you don't like to write, you can do an audio journal. You can do your own, you can record yourself and store them privately, do a video journal, and just you can get a look at yourself every day. Like, I could go back through my catch things, dancing, journaling. Yeah, so clinical depression is stuff that normally lifts your mood, doesn't. So if dancing generally lifts your mood and you dance and it doesn't, then you might be moving into a clinical state of depression. If taking a walk doesn't shift your mood at all, that can be a clinical thing. Not wanting to take a walk could just be you're in a funk, and you can get up and take your walk anyway, and you'll generally feel better. That's just a funky state. Support your body. So like these are howlite beads from Linda. A little psychotherapy to help learn more coping strategies can help. Yes, definitely see a therapist. And I would say see a therapist before taking medication. Medication, in my opinion, should be the last resort. If you've done everything else and you just still can't do it, then take some medication. Don't let yourself suffer for too long. Explore all the options, and if none of them work, or if you need both therapy and a medication for a short period of time, do it. Lithium crystal. I don't think I've ever seen one. Little things you can do to support your body is make yourself exercise even when you don't want to. You've got to move your body. Who is it that says move a muscle to change a mood? Move a muscle to change a mood. I forget who says that. Howlite beads I like. They feel earthy and grounding to me. I use the evergreen oils. Yes. Please don't go to your general practitioner and ask for meds. Your therapist and your psychiatrist should be happening at the same time. Okay, so rocks and stones, lithium crystals, Betty's recommending, wearing your little malas, drinking a lot of water, eating clean. Too much sugar can make you feel super depressed and wildly emotional. Where do you get a lithium crystal? Just at a rock shop? Look at what you're eating. If you're eating heavy sugar, you're not going to feel good. And you're not going to sleep well. So for me, the first thing I address is my diet. How much sugar have I been eating? If it's too much, I'm going to be moody. How much beef have I eaten? If I'm noticing more that beef makes me feel really heavy and tired, which is very unfortunate because I truly love it. How much caffeine am I drinking? Gluten can make me feel crazy, wild, emotional roller coaster. So sneaking into the gluten, whether on purpose or accident. Alcohol, yes. Are you drinking one or more glasses of wine every evening? That can affect your mood. So look at the things you have control over first. Omega-3s can help. Vitamin D supplementation can help. Although, as Tanya reminded me, vitamin D is fat soluble, so be sure that you don't take too much. But Sarah, Morgan's wife, was what looked like clinically depressed. Actually, her vitamin D level was so incredibly low, it barely registered. They put her on 50,000 units of vitamin D a week, and she's fine. So often, clinical depression is related to a diet or a vitamin thing, and we should be looking at that stuff first, or a hormone thing. Yeah, so vitamin D for myself, I personally take 5,000 a day, 5 days a week. Then I take 2 days off, and it helps a ton. The thing is don't, too often what I'm seeing is, anemia. Yeah, anemia can be a problem. So take care of your body. Look at what you're eating. Apply some limits to the computer. For me, that's becoming critical. Turning off at 8 p.m. for 2 nights meant last night I slept all night long. It's a blood test. Oh, they don't check for vitamin D deficiency unless you ask them to. Which, by the way, you can go to these little pop-up labs that are in strip malls. And you can get your vitamin D and stuff tested for yourself. If you want. Okay, so the message that I want to give you is that you address things. And judging yourself for having a bad mood or a funky mood for a few days is counterproductive. Welcoming it, as Rumi says, this being human is a guest house. Yeah. Let all things come in. Let all things have space. Watch the movie, is it Inside Out? Right. Watch Inside Out. Yeah. Please watch that movie if you haven't already. It's a perfect example of why all emotions are valid. Yes, ebb and flow. Who was I talking to? Linda. I was texting Linda yesterday over feeling in a bad mood, and she's been in a funk too, and it's ebb and flow. I give a lot, then I need to withdraw. Then I give a lot, and then I need to withdraw. And to keep it in balance, because when I was younger, I would overgive, and then I would completely withdraw. And now it's more consistent, where I recognize I'm overgiving before I've gone too far, and then I just step back a little, but I don't step all the way back, so that I keep this ebb and flow balance the same. It can be really helpful to take the label bad off of a funk. If you're having a funky mood, you don't feel very good, it can be very helpful to not make that wrong. To not say, oh my God, this is bad, and I need to determine that I'm going to be happy. There's so many of those memes. Good morning, Deb. That you've got to choose to be happy. You've got to just make yourself be happy. Well, that's great. You choose happiness, and then all the reasons that you're not happy come up for you to take a look at and deal with. Yes, journaling moods is wonderful. So there's a therapy out there called dialectical behavioral therapy that I used to teach, and it's helpful with borderline personality disorders, and it's really helpful for people too. Sometimes not happy. Cycle and the cycle of the moon. There's definitely mood changes during your period cycles. There's mood changes during the moon cycles. Watch your animals. My cats go freaking bananas on the full moon. So do I. It's normal. Our culture has pathologized normal mood shifts. We've made it to where everybody thinks they need to get a pill anytime they just have a little bit of a funk, or something terrible's going on and they don't feel good. Well, it's appropriate to not feel good when something terrible is happening, and it's temporary, and you can support your body through the process. Yes. Yes, definitely. All of those things. So, yes, we're given the instructions that we need to be happy all the time. Oh, from Lyme disease. Yeah, I don't know a ton about that, but I know that it's really devastating for people. I can't stress enough the importance of journaling, so that you can look back, because we don't remember, so that you can look back and see how you felt on Tuesday when it's Sunday, so that you can see every day that moods come and go. Yeah, and if you're not happy, what's wrong with you? Yes, you're supposed to be ecstatic and taking selfies all day, and take pictures of your happy food too. Please don't use people's Facebook feeds as a judge of where they're actually at in life. Good. Yes, and God forbid that you should be sad. Nobody wants to see that on Facebook, right? Nobody puts that. Yeah. And then work with your stories about having a bad day. It's okay to have a bad day. Yes. Facebook is terribly deceptive, and it makes us all fall into comparison. But recognize that what's on Facebook is highly selective. If you were taking pictures of coffee in Guatemala, yeah, social media can be devastating if you're in a bad mood already, because then you think everybody else is doing fine, but that's garbage. It's not true. Everyone's having a funky time. But not everybody, you're not supposed to put that on social media. Because social media is the same as when you see somebody in person, you say, how are you? Typically, you don't really want to know the full story of how they are. You expect that they're just going to say, oh, good, how are you? And then you move on about your business. Facebook's the same thing. Scroll through Facebook and tell yourself they're all liars. That's a great strategy, too. So, the reason I'm on about this is Yeah, unless you're close to people, you don't really know what's going on for them in their lives. And the constant happy, rah-rah, Scooby-Dooby, super awesome posting stuff, you get excited to be happy for my friends who are happy or sad. Yes. Equal time, people. Each emotion deserves equal time. The dark night of the soul can be an incredibly creative place to be. And for me, that is when you're changing and transforming from one identity to another. You've kind of lost your identity. My daughter got her nose pierced when she was about 14. She woke up one day. She called me screaming at work because she woke up and her nose ring had come out. And we were all laughing so hard because my friend Jim was like, she woke up and her identity fell out. When you're changing from how you see yourself from one way to another, to me, that's the dark night of the soul. You don't know who you are anymore. And you're reviewing your life and deciding where you're going to be, who you're going to be moving forward. And that can be a very deep, dark place to be. It's a good place to be. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it. So if you have any doubts of what you're going through, go check in with a therapist just to see. Oh, it was devastating. She was in a panic. She literally screamed so loud, I had to hold the phone out, and everybody in our little cubby area heard it. We thought she was being murdered. I actually thought someone was in the house actively trying to kill her. My nose ring fell out. My nose ring. And I was like, murder? Someone's trying to rape you? What is happening? Her nose ring. I left work, drove all the way home, stuck a baby carrot in her nose, and stuck her nose ring back in. And all was well with the world after that. I was very grateful to have a job that allowed me to leave and go home and re-pierce my daughter's nose. Absolute hysteria. Poor Morgan. Oh, she can laugh about it now. It was hilarious. Yes, within hours. Yeah, it can close completely within hours. A baby carrot. Yeah, I didn't have a cork. So I shoved a baby carrot up her nose. When you, even after years, I had mine pierced for years, and it was gone in a couple of days. You can re-pierce it fairly easily, but in the beginning, when you first had it done, it can be gone in an hour or two. That's the only thing I could think of that was big and firm enough that I could re-pierce it for her. So stupid. So, this is related to our actual discussion today about the Tao. The Tao says, Byron Katie says, it's our stories about our normal ebbs and flows that trip us up and make it worse for us. If you're revamping your entire identity, you do? I'm impressed that you had a tongue piercing. I was way too scared for that. We are going through an identity crisis as a country. We're finding out disappointing things about people we thought we knew. Yes. We're going through a lot. So it's not surprising to me that as a collective unconscious, as a culture, as a country, that we're in a funk. We don't feel so good. We're disappointed in things that are happening around us. We're disappointed in people we thought we knew. We're disappointed to find out that they would cheer for Donald Trump where we would put him in a box and ship him off to the moon or somewhere. It's disappointing. It's disheartening to work really hard and feel like you're not getting ahead. It's a cycle. Sometimes things have to fall and break before they can be rebuilt. It's possible we're in a falling and breaking down period, in which case The world needs you to be centered and taking care of yourself more than ever. If you want to know what you can do to help your country, help yourself. Yes, let's dance with your funk. Dance with your funk. Serve your funk a cup of tea and say, wow, I get it. Things are weird right now. Things are really weird. I don't know who I am in this world. I don't know. I'm not saying this personally, but I'm saying that this is a lot of what people are saying. I don't know who I am. And I'll say that you have to take care of yourself. Serve your funk a cup of tea. Welcome it to the table. Read Rumi. Do all the nice things for yourself. Buy flowers for yourself. Put some nice oils in some Epsom salt. Take a bath. Don't let Donald, well, you can do what you want, but whether or not Donald Trump is president, doesn't have to impact your daily life experience. So let's talk about Taoism. Let's talk about stories. So deconstructing story is always in our hashtag. Yes. Water ebbs and flows. Sometimes water's calm. Sometimes it's choppy. Sarah's daughter has a puffball for the voice in her head. Pay attention to that voice in your head, too, making things worse for yourself. Okay. Oh, interesting. Today's title is Staying on the Way. In looking after your life and following the way, gather spirit. Gather spirit early, and so redouble power, and so become invulnerable. Invulnerable, unlimited, you can do what you like with material things, but only if you hold to the mother of things will you do it for long. Have deep roots, a strong trunk. Live long by looking long. This couldn't be more perfect. In looking after your life and following the way, gather spirit. Gather spirit early, and so redouble power, and so become invulnerable. Invulnerable, unlimited, you can do what you like with material things, but only if you hold to the mother of things will you do it for long. Have deep roots, a strong trunk. Live long by looking long. Take your attention up. Like I said, scanning through Facebook to see what's going on in the collective unconscious is very educational. Looking at all the memes which go in packs. If you watch Facebook, themes of memes go in chunks. So it'll be one kind of meme for a while, and then you'll notice here comes a different kind of meme for a while, and it's on everybody's pages. And then it'll shift and be a different kind of meme for a while. And you can get a clue on what's going on in the consciousness as a whole. And then you know what your prayer for the day can be. Like, let me hold steady. Let me sink my roots deep. It's a very interesting social experiment. Let me center myself before I get on Facebook. Let me make sure that my roots are sunk way down in the energy of the earth, and that my consciousness is up there. Well, you can see people who you haven't friended, but if you've friended them, you're in a whole stuff you didn't even know. Yeah. Whoever's on your friend page is your microcosm of the macrocosm. You got to center first. Daily practice. I know I'm like a broken record on that, but daily practice keeps you steady. Daily practice and journaling your moods helps you know when you're just having a funky mood or if you need to go see someone. There's absolutely nothing wrong with seeing a therapist. I recommend everybody does it. When and if I ever need to see a therapist again, I will, because sometimes it's helpful to just talk to a stranger and have the big dump. Just do the big emotional dump on someone who doesn't know you, and you leave feeling like a zillion tons lighter. Dogs are good for that. They like to listen. cats are actually good for that too. Okay, so live long by looking long. Take the long-term view. Unless you're dead, there's hope. I don't think you're dead because I see lots of little hearts. If you're not dead, there's hope. People thought during the Great Depression that the world was coming to an end. It didn't. People thought in 2008 when everything tanked that the world was coming to an end, and it didn't. People during World War II thought the world was over. It wasn't over. It's not over. So the fat lady sings, and I ain't singing yet. So let's talk about Stephen Mitchell. People thought the millennium, the world was coming to an end. It's not over. Are you breathing today? I don't mind being fat. It's okay. It's not stopping me. Let's see what Stephen Mitchell's take on this is. For governing a country well, there is nothing better than moderation. The mark of a moderate man is freedom from his own ideas. Be free from your own ideology. Be free from your own stories. Tolerant like the sky, all-pervading like sunlight, firm like a mountain, supple like a tree in the wind, he has no destination in view and makes use of anything life happens to bring his way. Nothing is impossible for him because he has let go. He can care for the people's welfare as a mother cares for her child, tolerant like the sky. Nothing is impossible for him. Right, perfect. I am this age, I weigh this much, and I move forwards, not backwards. Nothing is impossible for him because he has let go. He has let go. She has let go. It's a continual letting go. Did you see the movie Little Miss Sunshine? At the end, the teenager character is talking to Steve Carell's character, who is a professor who experienced a shameful incident and tried to kill himself. But he was expert on Marcel Proust, Proust. And Proust had said his best work came out of his misery. So if you look at your misery as a rich source of material for poetry or compassion for others, if you've never experienced pain, it's very hard to feel compassion for other people. Your misery can be a gold mine if you welcome it and say, hey, misery, like I said earlier, serve it a cup of tea. Sit down and have a chat with it. If your misery could talk to you, what would it say? If you said, hey, misery, do you got some gifts for me? What would it say? It might say, yeah, I do. Listen to this. Okay, let's read Byron Katie and then I'll wrap up. Oh, yes, and having a fixated goal in mind and doing things with the goal of getting rid of your funk is not good either because you just create more of it. What you resist persists. What you resist persists. You fight against your funk and it will persist. You fight and argue against your occasional downswing, it just lasts longer. Welcome it, treasure it, treat it with compassion, and it will shift a lot faster. But if you do it with the purpose of getting rid of something, then you're just creating more shadow parts. Then you're just creating more parts of yourself that feel exiled. Wholeness comes from welcoming. Wholeness comes from welcoming all of it. Then you make decisions, but you welcome it first. Yes, very unbalanced. We have become unbalanced. With our constant nagging each other to be happy, we become more unhappy as a country, as a culture, as a collective. I don't really like the word collective because it reminds me of a beehive. I like bees, but I don't want to feel like I'm in a beehive. The collective unconscious, that I can get behind. The quantum field. Okay, when you have no destination in view, you can go anywhere. You realize that whatever life brings you is good, so you look forward to it all. There is no such thing as adversity. Adversity is an unquestioned thought. Without belief, there's no separation. Yes. So Eckhart Tolle, Lao Tzu, the Taoist dude, and I'm pretty sure I'm saying his name wrong, but without a belief, there's no separation. Adversity and good fortune are equal. Do you hear that? Adversity and good fortune are equal. You can wake up on Mars. You can find yourself in hell. There's no problem because the work is alive inside of you. You can flip into the most unusual mind states, into emotions that you've been hiding from yourself for decades. You can enter the worst of your fears, and with inquiry, it doesn't matter where you go or how you appear. Without a belief, you are all things. Separation comes from the story. Stories separate us from each other. Stories separate us from our own natural wisdom that we have access to if we ask for it. No, I don't think so. My own personal opinion is that balance is absurd. When is the ocean balanced? When is the wind balanced? Laugh and cry are right next to each other. Yes. My own personal belief that I rarely say is I think balance is a bullshit word. There you go. I said it. Equanimity is the word I like. Although it's a big one, you might have to look it up. Sometimes I have to. Equanimity means that whatever's happening, I'm with it as it is. And when I'm not with it as it is, I get in trouble. If you get stuck in a particular identity, you have inquiry to unstick you. An inquiry meaning that you question your thoughts. You don't buy into the stories that you're telling yourself in your head that everything is terrible and it's always going to be terrible. You step back and you say, oh, yeah, I hear you. It's okay that you think that. It's not really true. But let's take a walk. Inquiry, not judgment. Asking questions is not judgment. Asking questions is leaving the door open for the information that your funk might have to tell you. You have to ask questions. What are you here for to teach me? What gifts do you have to offer me if I'm willing to open my hand and receive them? Most thoughts aren't yours anyway. Who knows where thoughts come from? It doesn't matter. One day in 1986, as I was walking in a shopping mall, I saw a very old woman coming toward me on a walker. Her back was bent, her face grimaced from what appeared to be pain. As I walked, I noticed to my horror that I was looking out through this old woman's eyes at the woman I had been, the one with Katie's body, so healthy, agile, and bright as the lights. As I watched her, the bright one began to round the corner in her usual fast-paced, carefree manner, and I realized I was now the old woman. I felt her pain. It wasn't hers now, but mine. I came aware of my body's, let's just say, decay. The thought that accompanied the anger was, I want to move as fast as that young woman. It's not hair. It's not hair. It's not fair. And then the full horror of the situation appeared. If I were to give it words, the thought would be, oh my God, I'm trapped here. I'm supposed to be the young one. I'm not supposed to be old. Immediately, inquiry rose up. Am I this? Is it true? Is it true that I am this forever? How do I react when I believe that thought? What would I be without the thought? Who would I be without the thought? And I like to say, how would I feel without this thought that everything is terrible and it's always going to be terrible? And that I can try and I never get a break. And that, I'm never going to feel better. Watch out for always and never. Ask yourself, is it true? Is it true that this is never going to change? Of course not. So how would I feel if I didn't think the thought that this funk is a terrible place to be? How would I feel? I would feel compassion. I would feel acceptance. I would feel the understanding that comes from knowing that water ebbs and flows. Without the thought, there's no discomfort. There's not even the slightest desire to be anyone else or anywhere else. As soon as I realized this, I found myself, to my amazement, rounding the corner of the mall as the body of the fast-paced woman who had apparently been lost to me forever. You don't have to. The invitation is to take the labels off. The invitation is to experience, even for a moment, what it feels like to be okay with the way everything is right now, with no label, good or bad, attached to it. Our resistance to reality is what's killing us. Our fighting against things that are outside of our control is destroying our well-being. And that you have a choice in. That you have control over. That part. Your thoughts. The stories that you believe. The stories that you tell. Yes. I just am. We just are. I just am. We just are. That saying, it is what it is a very valuable saying. Now, sometimes it gets used in a facetious manner and a dismissive manner. But it is true that it just is what it is. And you can welcome it. And spending a lot of time analyzing it keeps it with you longer too. But, that's okay. It's helpful for self-understanding. Writing helps you reach compassion. It does for me. You have to say, often people say that and then don't vote. Well, that statement gets misused a lot. It is what it is doesn't mean that you're powerless. You accept that reality is what it is, and then you listen for what's the appropriate action for you to take. Inspired action comes. It doesn't mean that you become a doormat. You can do your part. Yeah, you can do so sometimes I have to do things so that I feel okay and in line with my own integrity. So I vote because to not vote would feel passive and victim-y to me. And I don't want to feel passive and victim-y. It is what it is when it's a brick wall, not allowing myself to beat my head on it. Yeah, so for myself, I vote. I do the best I can to choose who feels right in line with me. But I can't get to that feeling of what's in line with me unless I calm down and center first. Yeah. So saying it is what it is doesn't mean, I'm just going to take a passive approach to life. Do what's in line with your integrity. And let me say that again. Do what's in line with your integrity. And don't worry about what's in line with other people's integrity. We have maybe about 5 or 10 minutes left. I don't know how long we've been talking. Yes, and Byron Katie's stuff gets misunderstood all the time like that too. I'm just supposed to accept that whatever. No, you're not. Yes, right on time. You unravel your stories about things, you love what is, and you still take action. If someone is inappropriate in your environment or in displaying behavior that's not changing, and you've decided it's behavior that you are not willing to live with, you still leave, you still set boundaries, but you do it from a centered place of loving and understanding that that's their path. And this is your path. And so I'm going to set boundaries because I love myself. And I'm not going to allow other people to harm me because them harming me is not good for them either. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's really important to have that daily practice so that you know what's in line with you. It's not passive acceptance. Step. It's not rolling over and being a victim. It's actually the most empowered place you can be. When you're clear and you have great clarity on what is appropriate for you and your life without explanation, without need to justify, then you make your decisions accordingly and you don't worry about what other people are doing. You do what's in line for you. They do what's in line for them. Okay? So you can't depend on external circumstances to make you feel good. In fact, everything I teach is opposite of that. You clean up your own house and then external circumstances don't move you. That's what we read earlier. Live long by taking the long view. And then this section right here in this book. Only if you hold to the mother of things will you do it for long. Will you be able to live for long. Have deep roots and a strong trunk. Then when the wind is blowing, you're steady. You might swish, you will. You'll move, but your center stays steady. Your roots are steady. You're grounded in what's right for you. And what's right for you may change, and that can be that dark night of the soul. Yes, daily practice is critical. How do you know what's normal for you if you don't tune in every day? You don't. You're buffeted by the winds of everyone else's opinions. If you're sensitive and intuitive and empathic, you're walking through life like a freaking sponge and you're picking up everybody else's stuff and you don't even know what's your stuff and what's their stuff without a daily practice. Your daily practice is sending your roots into the ground. Your daily practice is the process of becoming steady and centered so that external environment, external circumstances may impact you, but they don't destroy you. And they don't take you too far off your own path. Things are still going to hurt. Things are still going to sting. But you move through it. Oh gosh, Aaron. Yes. Personal responsibility. The world whips us around so fast in so many ways. So the mental image of sinking your roots. Yesterday it was good, and you had to work on not being so impacted by that either. There's a saying in Zen that too much of anything is too much. Too much laughter is off balance. Too much sad is off balance. But accepting what is coming and accepting what's happening and asking it for the gifts that it may have to offer you is incredibly productive. So I think that you can look back at times in your life. You're not the same person you were when you were 16. I'm so glad you're here, Aaron. I'm so glad you're all here. You're not the same person you were when you were 16. If you're older than 30, you're certainly not the same person you were when you were 30. And identity changes are, oh my God, right? Identity changes can be really rough and tumble and really those dark nights of the soul, like we said earlier. Can be a change in identity. Okay. So, inquiry is grace. Hormones! Yes. I'm in you're premenopausal until you, in theory, don't have a period for a year. And that part can be pretty rough on us and our husbands and our partners and our wives. Inquiry is grace, okay? Asking questions, deconstructing your story is grace. The ability to see these things is grace. It's the gifts that we've been given to maneuver on this planet. It wakes up inside of you. It's alive. There's no suffering that can stand against it. Grace will take you over, and it doesn't matter what life brings you, good or bad. You open your arms to the worst that can happen because inquiry will continue to hold you through all of it. Even the most radical problem becomes just a sweet natural happening, an opportunity for your own self-realization. And when others are experiencing terror, and now we've come full circle, you are the embodiment of clarity and compassion. You are the living example. So when you work in a toxic environment, reaching for wholeness and becoming steady can irritate the ones around you even more. And yet they'll hit a point where they leave you alone. And the people who want to grow because of what you're broadcasting will come closer to you. And the people who don't want it and they want to stay in their garbage will move further away from you. Working in a toxic office can be the best / worst training ground that there is. It's extremely difficult. And it doesn't mean that you don't look for a new job. But while you're looking, take advantage of the opportunity to train in these concepts. Train in the precepts, as Buddhism would say. When others are experiencing terror, you are the embodiment of clarity and compassion. The world needs your clarity. The world needs your stability. As people around you are running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Less anger. Be the voice of reason. That's the perfect, yes. Learn what you can while you're looking around. Lots of deep breaths. Lots of deep breathing. Learn what you can learn in the environment that you're in while you're learning all these other things. Practice with what you've got, because it's all you've got. Stressing out. If you just that one little change in your mindset of this job is horrible and it sucks, yay, to I'm going to use the conflict right here in front of me as a way to train against staying centered in my own rootedness. I'm going to use this mental image of sinking roots into the ground, deep into the earth, and feeling centered and solid. I'm going to use all this garbage right in front of me as a way to train, as a way to get to know what is my center. I'm going to start a daily practice and I'm going to learn what my center is so that when I'm off center, I feel the difference and I can come back. That's what core desired feeling work does for you. That's what desire mapping does for you, is it helps you define what you want your centered state to be. And then as you practice it, all the stuff that's not it comes up for you to look at, and you keep coming back. I would call core desired feelings anchor. I say, wow, taking a month off for vacation is awesome. It's really healthy. Sounds really healthy. Anchor. I say it's an anchor a lot. You're creating an anchor to come back to, and it keeps coming up, yes. And you come back to it, and you come back to it, and you come back to it. Every day. Whatever it takes, every day. You accept what's coming up that doesn't match your anchor, your core desired feeling. You work with it. You ask it what it has to give you every damn day. Acceptance and welcoming of it you'll get the gifts faster. You keep worrying it'll make you want to move back to Montana, but it sounds like it's more. Yes, it's you here and now. And you may also want to consider going back to Montana at some point, because that does seem like the geographic area that suits your heart the best. Or have a vacation place there. So my compromise for being here in the South is that my plan is to have a vacation home in the Pacific Northwest, because I can't live there right now because of things that I want to do that are family related, and I'm choosing that. But the place that suits my heart the best is the Pacific Northwest. So my goal is to have a vacation place there, and once or twice a year get up there and be where I really like geographically. Yeah, Aaron and I met in Colorado. Utah's beautiful, but yay! Morgan's voting today too. Below the Mason-Dixon line is interesting. Yes, Yeah. That's, Erin, that's the only thing that keeps me from just bawling all the time. Like, I can visit, I can have a vacation home there. I don't have to, like, permanently be here in Georgia. I like Georgia, I really do. But the Pacific Northwest just hits my heart in that same way that Montana hits yours. I think it's the same. Okay, my dears. So today, go into the day, taking off the labels of good and bad, keeping yes, Sarah, it's so magical there, and keeping awareness of where you want your center to be, and then being that steady point as people are screeching and running around. The sky is falling! The Trump is falling! That's theirs. Yay! Michelle's doing her coffee shop exercise. Love you too. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. We'll take those blessings. Blessings on all our heads. Mwah. Big kisses. Chicken Little. Yes, go read the story of Chicken Little. And don't be Chicken Little. Okay, bye. You're welcome.